Hello, Alice. How are you?
He- Hello, I'm fine. Thanks for asking. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm really, really excited, as you probably have guessed, of to be here with you today. So thank you for accepting to participate in the channel. It's a pleasure
Sure.
to have you. Thank you. Thank you. So today we are going to talk about a topic interesting for me. I mean, I don't know, I would like to ask you before I introduce the topic, I would like to ask you, have you ever heard of Jordan Peterson before? Or is this the first time you come across this name, Jordan Peterson?
Yes, this is actually the first time I came across any of his talks.
Wow. Yeah, cool, cool. Because I have been like I don't know who, maybe probably a student. The students recommend me so many things. Probably a student recommend me one of his books called 12 Rules for Life. So I actually bought that book. I've never finished it though, but I have read a lot of chapters. It's called 12 Rules for Life, and you would think this would be a self-help book,
Okay.
but actually he's a psychologist and he actually is giving practical scientific advices to people in order to get their lives fixed or better. And but although I have read some of the chapters of that book, I have never watched any of his talks. So it was a great opportunity to watch this talk called How to Deal with Depression to discuss with you. And I have some questions and some considerations that I would like to discuss with you. And I would like to start with a very difficult question that you do not have to answer,
Okay.
but I will ask anyway. Have you ever dealt with depression?
No, I
No.
have not. I have people around me that have dealt with it, but I have never suffered with it.
Okay. So you would say you have experience, but
Yes.
watching others.
Yes. Definitely.
Cool. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so I wouldn't say I do have experience with it, although my psychologist would probably disagree with me. He thinks I do have experience with it. Maybe we should
Okay.
trust him or not, or me. I don't know. But
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
I believe
yeah.
like if he's saying this, you probably would know.
He is saying this actually.
But I
I
mean, like you would probably know if you have ever dealt, if you have any
okay.
experience with it, you would have something to say about it. I believe.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with him, right? Yeah, he thinks I do have depression. I don't entirely agree. I do think I have a difficult life,
Okay.
but yeah, but he's been dealing with patients and depression, and I don't know. He probably knows better, but I I don't know. But so he says, Jordan Peterson says in that video called How to Deal with Depression, that depression is a catastrophe. I have here my notes. It's a catastrophe. It carries with a very it carries with it a very high suicide rate. And and then he recommends the use of antidepressant in case of like severe depression. And I would like to ask you a little bit about it because in our society, I don't know, but it feels to me like there is sort of what is the word for prejudice, a prejudice against the use of antidepressants. And I would like to hear a little bit of you if you agree with that. Do you think, how do you think?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I actually believe that has yeah on our society. I don't know if this is the case of Brazil or if this is a worldwide like behavior, but I believe that we tend to like not believe if this is an actual like disease or something like this.
Yeah.
We tend to somehow ignore it, about like not giving the right, uh, like we do not tend to care if someone says, or if diagnosis with depression. We tend to think that this is some kind of like a children behavior, like something like
Yeah.
this. We do not tend to give the real importance for this.
Yeah.
And but I believe that, has he says on the video, that buying this kind of medication, it seems to me like really easy. Like I don't know if we are dealing with it at the right way.
Yeah.
Like it seems like this is really an always open door of people, like they tend to buy and to take it as it was nothing. But I believe that it is a actually big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I like what you said about how it seems to some people that depression is a child's something, like child's behavior. It is almost like saying that um, it's I'm looking for the word capricho. Do you know how to
Yes.
say capricho in English?
I
Like
I don't no, I don't think so. No.
yeah, l- like the person has a choice. Someone
Yes.
has a choice. Like I choose to be this way. I choose to feel this way because it's fun
Uh,
or I like the attention. I don't know.
yeah, for me, it's like it is expected if someone is mature to not have this kind of behavior. Like this
Yeah,
is like somehow forbidden for people
yeah,
to have to deal with this kind of thing. And if you have this, it's like you are like incomplete, or people actually do not understand. Like this is a actually taboo, right?
it
This is,
is.
we do not tend to think or to discuss this kind of matter, I believe.
It is true. It is true. Yeah, I remember a friend saying, I don't remember precisely what happened, but it was about asking someone because you know how we are. I'm not sure if it is something that we do here in Minas or if it is something like Brazil widely, that we in Minas we wouldn't go. I don't know how things are actually today, but I'm still old school Minas. I
Okay.
won't go to a website and search for a doctor. I will call my aunt or I will call a
Okay.
friend. Do you do that too?
uh,
Like a
I
recommendation,
believe like,
recommending?
actually, I believe that people tend to recommend me doctors, but I do not have this kind of behavior. I am not used to ask for recommendation. I'm
Of
more
any
like,
kind,
okay,
like a
yeah.
restaurant, no?
No, I actually like to experiment a little bit. I'm not,
Really?
yeah,
Oh, you?
yeah,
That comes as a surprise. I wouldn't think of you as the
yes,
experimental,
yeah.
like,
I like. I don't have this kind of like this kind of problem, like not believing that something can be good without hearing from someone. I do not
you
actually care that much
really.
about, like, if there's something bothering me, like I'm hungry or I do have some kind of pain, I just tend to solve this kind of problem. Like I'm hungry, I'll find somewhere to eat. I have some kind of pain, I'll call the first doctor for
Oh
this.
my
I don't have.
God. Oh my God. I've
I'm
been,
actually a solver. Yes, I'm a solver.
no, but no, I'm not a solver, but I mean, yeah. Uh, I found, do you know Sapucaí Street?
Yeah,
Yeah. Do you know a restaurant called Dorce here in Belo Horizonte? Dorce, I guess that's the name. It's in this
I
in
don't
the
know.
is in Sapucaí Street. You
Okay,
might know
I
maybe.
probably saw it, but I
Yeah,
don't
probably yeah.
remember. Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, I didn't know about that place before. Just recently found a friend of mine recommended me that place, and this today Friday was actually the fourth Friday, consecutive Friday, that I went there to have feijoada. And then
Okay.
I will go there forever. I cannot switch. And my brother, Luan, said, okay, so we know that feijoada here is good. We should try other places as well. Here in BH, we eat feijoada Fridays and Saturdays. And then he
Okay.
said, we should, you know that, right? So he said, let's discover another restaurant. And then I was like, why would we do that? If that's the perfect place, why? And he
Okay.
was like, why not?
I can understand the both perspectives. I mean, like, yeah, if I have like something that I know there is good for sure, I do
Exactly.
not have the need to try something new,
Exactly.
but I can. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's a bit difficult. Yeah. Yeah. But
But if you do not know, if you like if there is
mm,
uh, you hear on the television that like Vietnamese food is awesome, and
okay.
you have never tried, you would always ask for someone to tell you that if he knows somewhere good, or like if there in your neighborhood it opens a Vietnamese restaurant, you would try.
Okay. Would I? I don't know. I mean, probably, but yeah, but that's a bit different. Like I like to experiment other cultures. That's different. I'm open to that.
Okay,
But
okay,
as a very Mineira person, if I know something is good for sure, I only have a Friday per week, right?
okay.
Everyone has
But
it.
you have
But
like 52 weeks a year, so you can change one.
no, it's true. It's true. It wouldn't be impossible, but it would be challenging to do it.
Okay,
But I told Luan that if he, but the problem is, so actually, I'm changing the subjects about feijoada, but sorry,
okay,
but let me tell you something. What I do when I want to try something new is look for reviews. There's a whole process. It's not accidental. I don't enter, like I
okay,
said, in the first restaurant or door I see. It's even lanchonete, even a
okay,
lanchonete in the center in downtown where I could buy a coxinha. Like I'll enter,
okay,
I'll go to Google reviews, I check the reviews, the customer, and then I go after. If I'm trying to find a teacher, I read reviews. I cannot like I need to read reviews. So with the doctor thing, I heard a story that someone was looking for a psychiatrist and asked advice like recommendations, a friend, like, do you know any good psychiatrist? And then the person asked was very offended. Like, why would I know a psychiatrist? What are you insinuating with that? Me? Do you think I go to a psychiatrist or do I know someone who goes to a so I think there is this taboo,
this is
like I
dilemma.
said,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
dilemma.
I
Yeah,
believe, yeah, I
yeah,
believe that people tend to like associate to a bad thing. Like there is this wall. If like you cross this line, you are like on the edge. Like you are not a person that I should have around or something like this.
exactly.
Because this is, I feel that this is a real problem on our society.
It
But
is.
I do not believe, like on my experience, it seems that this is changing now. Because I mean, it can be like a social bubble thing, but around me, I believe like 90% of people or something like this go to some psychiatrist or have some
Mhm,
psychological help or some kind.
mhm.
So this can be some kind of social bubble that I'm living, but I don't know. Maybe like after this pandemic situation, it's probably like if not everyone, but the majority of people might need some kind of psychological help. I don't know.
Yeah, no, yeah. I've heard that psychologists now they're getting a large number of clients due to
Yeah,
the pandemic situation.
sure.
Personal question. What did you find the most hard thing to deal with during the isolation, the pandemic,
the
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 harder.
the harder thing for you about all this situation? Are you vaccinated, right? You're vaccinated, right?
No,
Not
not yet.
yet. They're
No,
not vaccinating the students, the postgraduate students.
no. There was a hoax that they would start to vaccinate like
Oh my
postgraduate
God.
students here, but did not happen because it was needing the city hall had to authorize something for us, and like
Wow.
the mayor made a step back and said no, we could not make it this far, so we did not vaccinate it. But I believe that it should be by like age in, I don't know, September or August, something like this.
Okay.
But for students, we did not had the
Wow,
opportunity yet.
that's sad.
But uh, on the pandemic situation, I believe that the harder thing for me was to actually the harder thing I believe was to adapt my working cycle. I believe
Hmm.
because I have this thing that if I'm on the working environment, like on the university,
Yeah.
I have this the mindset that the place is made for working. Like
Yeah.
if I'm there, I should be working. So I make like this turn on this mode of working,
Yeah.
and
I
I
understand you.
okay. There is sometimes that I do chill and chat with your other students, but I'm more focused on doing my research. And in home, I can. It was very hard for me to make this working mode like online. Like okay, I'll work from this time till that time of the day. But it was
Yeah.
very hard for me to adapt like this. And I still have not a very good schedule. Like each day I work a specific hour of the day, and it is very a very noisy schedule. But I this was definitely the harder thing for me because I
Yeah.
believe since I moved from Belo Horizonte here to Porto Alegre, I was like used to talk to people like using online
Yeah.
tools. So this was not the bigger problem. I believe that the harder thing definitely was to adapt my routine.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder. I have some students and also other friends that do the same as you, and I find extremely challenging because I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels to me like w- on the majority of time you're like reading and writing and reading, right? And how do
Yeah,
you know like you're making progress? Because it feels to me like you have like endless things to read, a lot of things to write. And for me, because I have a need to quantify, so how do you know you're making progress? So you read several articles or chapters, and because it happens on your mind, right? You have ideas as you're doing other things, and it's very you can always be working if you're with those
yeah.
ideas. Like, so how do you know you're making progress? It's
So like
challenging.
okay, but we do set some goals.
Okay.
We do not have this. Okay, we do have this final goal. We have like okay, my research is about this, and my project is to explore this kind of phenomena.
Okay.
But on the I do not like give this one huge step. We have like medium goals. We have like okay,
Okay.
I have to understand this particular phenomena. So I read some articles until I get this clear idea of what is happening. So it may happen that I take a while to understand this more clearly, but usually, okay, I read like I don't know, 5 papers until I okay, now I understand this. So I go to the next
Okay.
goal. So this is
Cool. Cool.
more or less okay. Of course, on the in the meantime, I can have some ideas to explore some other things, but it is like we are trained to get a goal in front of our eyes and to chase this immediately goal, like this next goal we have to finish, and then to start another one.
Okay. So it's not as it's not as it is not as abstract as I thought. There are
No,
steps. Yeah, it's not.
sure.
It couldn't happen anything. Okay, I was wrong. So it's good. It's good. Thank you for.
Yeah, actually, it depends, right? Like in my case, like I'm a student and I have a clear project that I'm working on.
Okay.
So if you do not have a project, if you are like, okay, I finished the PhD and I have to create something, then you can like go anywhere. But eventually you set a goal, like, okay, I'll work on this. And then
Oh
you
yeah,
start to enumerating goals to pursue.
yeah. No, you have to. It would be odd if you were just studying for ever for the sake of
Yeah.
studying. Cool. Yeah. Well, for me, that thing that you mentioned about I don't know. I'm not sure if I can say you'd said it was a lack of boundary between personal and work life all together at home, and then you felt like what which is which. Like
Yes.
I've been feeling this because I've been working teaching Portuguese for the past 6 year or so,
Yeah.
and for me it was always the case. Now everyone is living that, unfortunately, but it's been the thing that I've been struggling with for a long time. This, like, is this my home, but it is also my office? I finish working, but how do I feel? Because I feel like still need the sense of returning home. Maybe it's biological, chemical, I don't know, but it's
Yeah.
something that, like, that feeling of, because once you cross the door, like you arrive home, it feels like it's
Yes.
behind you. But
Yes.
and once you like you said, you enter your home, your office. Okay, so now
Yeah,
it's that.
your mindset changes. Like, okay,
Yeah,
like now I'm home, I'm chilling. Like,
exactly. And I
yes,
came up with an strategy when I was living in Montes Claros, that as I would finish my work, I would leave home, even if it was sometime to a walk in the block, and then I would
yeah,
come home again.
okay,
It's a symbolic thing. So I would feel like, oh, now I
yeah.
arrived.
But actually, I do have some strategies. I
Mm,
always had some strategies. Like even before the pandemics, I have this setup. Like
mm,
after 6 p.m., I do
mm.
not answer any emails any longer. It doesn't matter what, I do not answer. I might read it, but I do not answer. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It can be like, I'm trying to publish a paper and we have to send the response until tomorrow morning, and it doesn't matter. I will not answer.
Your orienter is watching this
Advisor.
one.
Yeah,
Advisor,
it
your
doesn't
advisor.
doesn't matter.
Does he know?
This is my way of doing things.
Yeah.
And he still on the pandemics, I do have this kind of posture or behavior. I tend to not answer people. Like I have this commercial time. Okay, I work from now to then, but okay, I may work another time on the day, but I do not tell people about it. Okay.
Oh, cool.
I'm available for people from this hour of the day until this. After this, I can make other things, but I do not answer anymore.
That's good. That's good. You're setting boundaries. Uh, for me, I was in do you know how to say lanchonette in English? A
Um,
diner place. No, it's not a diner. It's not a fast food either. Like,
I don't remember reading. People used
they
to
don't
say
have
like
that.
restaurant or
A
something like
restaurant.
this.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my mind is always working in terms of things that I could do in class. So I might sometimes be in a restaurant and then I will read something that will make me think of something or create a material, or it feels like it is good because I'm passionate about what I do, but it could be tiring as well, as I would always
Yes.
be like, And today as I was having lunch with my brother and my sister-in-law, all I could talk about was work. Like I was talking about that happened at work, that a student said, that na na na. And then I thought, wow, that is actually all of my life. Like and that is actually what Jordan Peterson was saying. I wrote here some questions like so he said that yes, antidepressant could work if someone
Yes.
it's like with a severe depression, the person is going to jump out of a bridge, jump,
Yes.
yeah, would kill themselves if someone would kill, yeah,
Kill
themselves.
systems. Yeah.
But so antidepressants would help because it would give time in order to the therapist work with that person. But what
Yeah.
actually makes a life healthy is to know if the patient, the client have friends, if they have intimate relationship, if they have like a reasonable career, if they are
Yes.
educated, if they have hobbies, other things to do other than work, if they have or not have an alcohol abuse, if they I do not have an alcohol abuse. If if their sleep are regulated, if they're eating well. So as I was
Yes.
going through that list that he enunciated, I was thinking, okay, I do have friends, but actually I'm not seeing them. Well, now yes, because everyone I know is vaccinated and I feel like things are getting more opened, so to speak. I don't have an intimate relationship. I do have a reasonable career. I do consider myself to be educated. I have hobbies, basically learning languages. I need other hobbies. It's the only one I have, and playing the guitar. And yeah, and my sleep is regulated, and etc. And I would like to ask you if you agree with him that we have to follow this in order. He said that someone could give importance to that or not, but at least some over over than half, the majority of that list should be. What do you
Yeah.
think about that?
There is another part of the video. He says a lot about chaos,
Hmm.
and I believe that, on my point of view, this is the most important thing on the video, because
Hmm.
I believe that the he was saying about depression and the feeling of losing control. Like, if you mess this one thing, there is like a snowball that
Yeah.
changes everything, and you lose control of everything
Yeah.
once. Like, on a split second, you just lose everything. And I believe that this list, this enumeration, is like, uh, actually, I believe that this is one of those things that I was saying, that it is based on a average person, social life, something like this, because you are trying to make someone that has a problem to look, or to work like someone that do not have this problem. And I am not that sure that this is the thing, this is the right way, because I believe,
Hmm.
okay, human beings are social beings. We are a social species, but I am not sure that everyone has to work through this way. And okay, this is like, on average this works, but it does not have to work like this for everyone. So
Mm-hmm.
you do not necessarily has to have a fixed number of friends, like a minimum number of friends, or
Yeah.
a number of hobbies, or your circadian, how he calls, uh, circadian cycle, that this is the time that you sleep and that you wake up, and like having the sun on this is the day. And okay, you have to like get up like 8 o'clock, and go to bed like 10 o'clock. No, I believe
Yeah.
people can work on different times, on different ways, and it does not necessarily has to have this number of friends or have a stable relationship, like a boyfriend girlfriend relation. I do not know if this is the case. I believe that on average you can say like, among the 7 billion person on the earth, this is what most works, but it does not necessarily need to work. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
So now the personal question. And for you, um, what do you need to have? Like, what are the things that are necessary, important, vital for you to consider yourself like happy? He actually says he does not believe in happiness. He says that everyone's life is a tragedy, but what we should do is not to make our tragedies into hell. So,
Yeah, the thing is, what I think is we are very used to compare ourselves with others, like
yeah,
to have like a model, someone that we would like to be like it. So if we are not like this, we are unhappy or something
yeah,
like this. But I am not. Again, I'm not sure that this is the case. Like what I need to feel happy. Like
yeah.
okay, happy may not exist, but I might feel it.
Or
I
for you not to
may.
be in hell, in order for you not to be in
Yeah.
hell, what do you need
Uh,
to have?
I need to have some distraction. I believe. Yeah. It doesn't matter for me to work like many hours a day. Once I may have some time to distract myself
With
and
with a hobby?
anything. It might be something to watch, something to
Mm,
read, something different to eat, something like a guitar to play. It doesn't
mm,
matter actually. Once that I can take my mind off of this massive amount of work that I'm doing, I believe that. So actually, I do very different things on different days. Actually, even being like every day the same day on this past 2 years, I don't know, something like this. Uh, I can make some changes on my day. Like I some days I do watch a different movie or I read different books. Like I'm reading like 8 books. I don't
no,
know,
you're
something like this.
always. It's been a while since the last time you recommended something, but there was a time that you were recommending me things every week. Something that you
Yes.
watched, something that you read. Yeah, you're doing a lot of things. Yeah.
Yeah. So I believe that the point is we do not for me it's important to not be like froze with something. Like if I
Mm,
cannot see change in anything, it bothers me a lot actually. Like
mm,
if I so like if I'm on the countryside that I do not have a TV signal or internet signal, if like every day is literally the same day for everything, like I do not see different things happening, I might be very bored and very I don't know, very
unhappy.
upset. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm,
if different things, if I have the access to different things, it already makes me very happy
yeah. Yeah.
because I believe like we have too much things to learn. Like there is
It's true.
a practical for a lifetime. It is an infinite amount of things because we
Yeah.
had like a many years. People wrote so many things, so I can never in practice read them all. But
Yeah.
if I do not have the access to different things, it bothers me.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes when people say to me like they're bored, if they, like you said, they do have like internet signal, they have a TV, they have their phones, iPads, computers. I mean, there are so many possibilities. There are so many
Yeah,
things that
they
I
do
would
not
also.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe that's the case, you know. Sometimes I can be also, I think the great amount of choice could be paralyzing as well. Like there
Yes.
are so much potential. Sometimes I would rather have two options or three options, but sometimes to go to a bookstore, for example, I learned with a teacher of mine, a Spanish teacher, that with books, I would be the quite opposite to like the picking restaurants, for example. I would enter to a library and my mom always says that they're my temple, like the libraries. And then I would spend hours reading the covers. I would go to those tables at the back of the with and then I would read sometimes the first page, the synopsis, the script, I don't know. I would read and then I would pick something and then I would come back with that book. But now I'm only reading recommended stuff because that won't lead. Yeah. So
The
if
same thing about doctors, yeah. So
yeah, no, because if someone read something and someone recommended, you must like that. I mean, it's better than to go to a bookstore and pick something
but
randomly.
if he's, what if this person is wrong? Like say, okay, you must like this, but you start reading and you say like, this is a total garbage.
No, I have never said that. Not even to Paulo Coelho's book that people said it's garbage. Not even to his book. I always learn something, really. Sometimes I always learn because for me, the act of doing anything is about getting to know yourself a little bit better. So I always learn with my thoughts, with that experience. Even shitty books, I still enjoy reading them.
Let me question
Oh my God.
something then.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, you don't believe that on this way, if people recommend you something,
Mhm.
this is not you avoiding the act of choosing and let people choose something for you.
Wow. Now we are getting very philosophical and
Yeah,
wow.
actually, I
Mm.
was watching to some series on Netflix.
Mhm.
It is called "How to Be a Tyrant."
Oh, me too. Me too.
So there is
Cool.
a point that he
Yeah,
says
they
like,
control the truth.
yeah, but there is a point that he says like, people might be comfortable with someone telling them what to do.
Yeah,
So this
yeah.
is the point, like the as you mentioned, maybe if you have this very large amount of choices, you cannot choose anything. But if people choose for you, you might be okay with it. You like we like to see or to imagine or to, I don't know how to put this actually, but we do like to think at least that we have a choice, but we do not like to actually choose.
It is true. Wow, that's great. We could record a whole other video about that. I would love to, but that's amazing. So, but I would say this, um, like two things. It is comfortable to go with what is being chosen because yes, the act of choosing, it feels like you're defying the power. Like when, like, and that could be have consequences. Like
Yeah.
if you are when you're living like how to say ditadura, dictatorship, like a
Yes.
dictatorship. I don't know. If
Yes.
you're living that to choose differently, like they would choose what the kids are being taught, they would change the history. If you defy that, it could mean it could have a lot of consequences. But yeah, it's not that I'm lazy to choose in my case. It's not that like I don't enjoy to go to the bookstores and read the covers anymore. It's just that I think that when two things, when someone reads something and that reminds, and that could go to for anything, a book, a movie, a video, a song, anything. If someone thinks that I'm going to like, I'm very curious because for me, it is like someone, in order to say that, it has to know the other person quite well, and I get curious, like, what is it about that song that made you think that I would like, or made you think of me or something? So I get instantly curious, and that's another motivation for me to watch. Lately, especially since the pandemic started, I I felt like I lost the sense of me, like everything felt like was crashing, and then I lost myself, like in some sort of sense. And everything since that point, it's me trying to reconnect to the old me or sometimes trying to create a new me. And I don't know. And I've been valuing so much what people think that the old me would like, because all of my friends are basically people who knew me before that. So it is like an attempt to reconstruct something or create a new something, or I don't know. So, and also, I don't know, at two, I'm speaking forever here. So, but the last thing, uh, when I really like those lists, like 100 places you should visit, 100 albums you should listen to, the books that everyone must read. Because I think that if someone have gone through that road, I mean, of course, we should create our own roads, but it has something like if someone read that great amount of book, if someone is an expert and had listened to all of those albums, and someone or a collective group of people, specialists, if they think that those are the best somehow, I should listen to them. That does not mean that I shouldn't listen to other things. And I always try to listen to discover on my own new songs at least. But for now, I guess but it is comfortable. It is comfortable to someone picking books for you. It is. But I would like to do,
But
what do you do?
no, one thing about this for having someone to pick what you do, I believe that on this point, it is a very uh, antagonizing
Mm.
thing with the video about that point of chaos and order that I
Mm,
mentioned,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because as I mentioned, and I believe that some at some point it was he says that we like to have control.
Yeah,
So we would like to have a choice, to have the power of choosing something.
yeah.
And when that chaotic things happen and you lose this opportunity to choose how something is going to behave, at the same point, like you might like not needing to choose, but you like that things are happening more naturally. Like you like seeing the path of the things before you have to take the road. Like I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I believe that
Yeah.
on this kind of sense of for physics, chaos it was a change of paradigm. We would like we would have to. The physics was one thing before chaos, and after chaos, a lot of things changed
What do you
because
call chaos? Is
so like Newtonian physics, like what you will learn on the school, like the planets around the sun and everything was very deterministic. You would knowing the equations, you would always know how things behave. So you would always have the control of the things. But having the knowledge of chaos, like uh, there is this one thing very curious about chaos is that things can be deterministic, but we always think about determinism that things are some kind of in cycles.
mm-hmm.
Like if you know that like on this planets around the sun, we always think that okay, oh, the Earth will always go around the sun on this same orbit, and the moon always around the Earth, and this is very known for us. But actually, mathematically, you cannot solve this kind of equations like three body problem, the Earth, Sun, and Moon. This is not actually solvable. Things may seem to be very psychic, but we can write the equations down. But the solution is not that cycle. It is not like always on the same position. The things do not always happen like this. If you have like a system this hard, things can get very messy. We do not actually
Wow.
we fake it. Like we say that we know how this things is going to happen. Like 2,000 years from now, the moon is going to be on that place. We do not know. We actually doesn't have a clue about it.
Wow.
Chaotic systems can anything can happen.
Wow.
So for like this kind of things, like we do not actually know if some comet or meteor or something is going to crush us, and we do not know this. We can know something around this particular days of like today, something like 15 days from now or something like this, and we can know like a neighborhood, but we
Mm.
do not know the all of it to write down all the equations and know about everything. And this is particularly a thing that bothers not just us on physics, but us as a whole, the humanity. We do not. We get very confused about do not knowing how
Yeah.
things are going to happen, and this and this is the point. Like if you start to thinking too much about okay, so how this. I believe that this is even one of those things that gets into your mind and you might get depressed is how things are going to be like 10 years from now. When people ask me, oh, okay, how do you see you? How do you see yourself in 10 years from now?
Yeah.
How can I know? I mean, like now we are in the middle of the pandemics. How can I make sure how I'm going to be next year? I don't know.
Will I be alive? I don't know.
Yeah, there's too much questions.
Yeah. Yeah. Not knowing bothers us. Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. He said something in his books. He mentioned in the video briefly, but when you're depressed, it's very unlikely that you see a future. So it's like you start to, so for example, let's take two people. One of them is healthy, has a great career, it comes from a good family, and another one does not come from a good environment. It's sick. Their parents, one of the parents died of, I don't know, a disease and etc. So those two people, they, one of them, it's always the person who is depressed, it's always thinking on life in terms of now. That person will not strategize, will not plan. If the person has a chance to, I don't know, to eat something very tasty, so that person is probably not on a diet, is not taking care of their body. They're just going to eat. But that other person who's healthy can think, no, actually, I can wait to the weekend to eat that. Actually, I don't have to spend all my money today. I can make investments because that person believes in the future, although the future is uncertain for everyone. But that
Yeah,
person is most likely to think, no, because if I invest in 2 years, I'll have that, and so that person could think about the future, and the other person would not believe there's going to, not in the pandemic, but in normal circumstance, the
yes, yes.
depressive person did not believe that is going to have a tomorrow to live. So
Yeah, he
that
cannot make
person's,
any prediction. Like,
yeah. So every little bit of pleasure that person can have in the present moment, that person is going to take it because it's now or never for that person. Otherwise, for the other one, it's what? No, I can live without that. No, I don't. I don't. That girl is kind of cute, but I'm sleepy. I go home. You know. Oh, and the other person will be like, oh, she's looking at me. No, I never. No one will never want me. Let me go there, and you know. So it's the person is always believing that the pleasure is on the now. If the person does not have it now, it won't happen never, and that is chaos as well. To live like
yes,
that, it's chaos.
yes, you have this feeling that okay, one thing is to have this feeling that if this not happen now, it will never happen. That like definitely, if this does not happen now, it can never happen again. Is to have
Yeah,
this like this to have this certain to have like sure to be sure of it, but this is actually not necessarily true. Also,
yeah,
is to not. knowing, not be able to make any kind of prediction. And the I believe that I do not know. I cannot say that this is how a depressed person may feel, because I don't think I've ever been there. But I believe that this is the case of, like, you're not being able to think that you can always make this happen. Like, you are losing
Mm.
something that you never had.
Mm. Yeah, I
And
understand
you
what
can never.
he. Yeah, I understand what I actually liked what he was trying to say. And in the past, I guess I've done that. Like, so, like when he said that we should, I wrote it down, we should constrain the anomalous events to the minimum necessary. You don't want to open the door to so every possible snake comes crawling through, because
Yes.
that's a path to depression. So remember when he gave that example of the wife, like you, instead of saying something very general or huge, like you don't love me, I regret having married you. So don't go to that. Like you will have a bad grade. Don't think,
Yes.
don't open the door too much. Try to, okay, so I think this person does not love me. That's how I feel. But let me talk and say, could you expect me by the door? Like he said, would you wait me by the door instead of saying I regret marrying you? Because after you go that, it's difficult. Things escalate and they go out of control, and then you lost yourself, and it's difficult to go back to, and depression might happen by happens there. But actually depression could happen, what I felt with his video is that could happen like we lost a job, and then it could happen like
Yeah, for me it was like the what he said was like, once you are depressed, you lose the sense of the scale of things.
mhm,
You have this feeling that, like, if you say like, oh, he cannot wait for me by the door, is the same. It's like, to have the sure that if he cannot wait for me by the door, it's the same distance for me. Like, he has never loved me. Like,
yeah,
it does
yeah,
not it does not feel like different things. It is the loss of the ability to know that these both things are very different. Like,
yeah,
you put them on the same box, it's
yeah,
the same.
yeah. No, yeah, I remember I said something to a friend once. um I I really like to talk things through, but I think most people, not most, but some people, they don't like to discuss their feelings. And I do tend to like to talk about feelings excessively. And or not feelings, but about things that happened, especially when someone gets upset. So I'm like, let's talk it out, let's resolve this. And then he was sort of tired, I guess. He was trying to talk and sit with me and talk about things, but I guess those were difficult times for me for some reason. Oh, I know the reason. It was difficult times for me. And then I remember that there was one day he did not want to talk. He said, I don't want to talk. And then I said, instead of saying, I relived that moment like many times because our friendship ended after that. So instead of saying, he said he did not want to talk. He felt like we were going through circles. And then instead of saying, okay, so I respect you, you don't want to talk, fine. Or maybe he did not want to talk that time. We would end up talking another time. I don't know. But I should have said, okay, fine. And then I said, so don't you ever talk to me again, ever. And then, of course, I said that in the heat of the moment. That was not what I wanted, but I said it. Like, as he gave the example, like, you don't show that, so I regret having married you. And that's like that extreme. That's not what she meant.
Yes.
And that opens like the door for snakes to get in. Like, and then he said, it's what is the narrowest framework of interpretation within which I can understand this? And instead of me, like when he said, I don't want to talk about that, we are going circles, I should have seen like, what does that mean? What is he saying? Instead of feeling what I felt like. So there is no friendship here. That was what I thought. If he does not want to talk, it does not have a friendship. What we have does not exist. So what will require a minimal behavioral change to decrease the possibility that will happen again? So what could we do instead of open the gate? That's a challenge, I guess.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think you tend to be very dramatic though, right?
No, I actually don't. I like. It's not that I trained myself, but I think that I'm used to not overthink things. It's not that I go with the first thinking about something, but I do not tend to like overweight something. Like, okay, this happened, we can make it happen different later, or I can at least try. If someone do not want it, okay, there's not much that I can do then. But I do not tend to like give a lot of matter to problems or something like this.
Cool. That's cool. Yeah. So before we finish, I would like to ask you the last question.
Okay.
We are going over time a bit, but I would like to ask you, what was the most interesting thing for you about the video? Is there anything you found particularly interesting?
I believe that it was this thinking about chaos and the loss of scale. I believe that I have not thought about this before the video, because when he puts this kind of thing that he, once the person is depressed, he cannot actually have this view that these things are very different. Because I this is probably the thing that makes people thinking that depression is like a choice that someone make, or is like some kind of drama. Is like the person who is in this state cannot differentiate between what is a small step and what is a huge jump. Like,
Yeah,
the person cannot differentiate,
no.
oh, I don't want to eat chocolate today, and I do not want to eat any sugar anymore on my life. It is like there is
Yeah.
these very different things, and this person cannot make any differentiation between these two. And it was like a different way of looking for depression for me.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely, definitely. I think, yeah, I found that video really interesting, made a lot of notes. And for me, that, and also it's very simple, but it was something I was thinking a lot about lately, that no one can live without a routine. And having a psychologist telling that no one can live without a routine and be mentally healthy. That for me was like, yeah, even if we can change things in a routine, but it is important to have a time to wake up, at least a minimal of routine, a time to wake up, times that we usually eat. There are days that could be different, but I think for me, the lack of routine that the pandemic brought made me sad, a bit sad.
Yeah, I believe that is not necessarily the case of having a strict routine. It is
No,
like
not a
to
street.
have a perspective of somehow an urgency of having something today like tomorrow, having
Mm,
something to do like tomorrow.
yeah,
Like, if you have this perspective, okay, I have to do this today because tomorrow I'll do that. You can yeah,
continuity.
you can
Yeah,
go to tomorrow. But
yeah,
if there is no tomorrow, if every day is exactly the same day, like forever, you never need to do anything because tomorrow I have to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And the pandemic brought this kind of situation. Okay, every day is like Monday. So
Every day is Monday.
what that I must do today that I cannot do tomorrow?
Yeah, yeah. Why not Friday? Every day's a Monday. Oh,
Because Monday are bad days. This
oh.
is not a good day.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. It's the worst. Yeah, well,
Yes.
I wanted to say thank you, Alice. Wow, I'm very impressed with your level of English. Do you use it a lot?
I would say that not as much as I would like to, but
Mm-hmm.
I use it daily.
Perfect. With your movies or your job?
Reading a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
the articles. Yeah. Well, so I would like to say thank you for participating. I hope we can have another conversation like that next time you pick a video.
Okay.
You could pick a happier video for us to
I'll
talk
try to.
about.
Okay.
Thank you so much, and we'll talk
Thank
soon.
you. Sure.
Bye.
Bye bye.